This is Noah with ERS. I'm sitting here with Willem Visser from Amanzi Party Rentals here in Austin, Texas. I'm in your backyard right now.
Yes, good morning, Noah. It's my backyard for the last 20 years, so welcome here to Austin.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to sit with me today, Willem.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope I can give you some good answers.
I look forward to it.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, I'd say, what's the number one piece of advice that you'd give for somebody just getting started in the party rental industry?
My advice would be is to study the business, what you're going to get yourself into. What I notice over the last 10 years that I've been doing this is people get involved in this business and have no clue what they put themselves through or will put themselves through. And then in 2-3 years, they get out of the business and they go do something else, and they need to sell the hard-earned money that they bought the equipment for less than what they spent on it. So I would advise people that get into this industry to really study the industry, where they're going to go, what the profit margins will be, and make sure that they understand that. That will minimize the amount of people that are coming in and out. They usually think, well, I paid X amount of money for a bounce house at somebody's house, and then, oh, that's cheap money. I can buy a bounce house, make a profit on it, but they don't really understand the profit that's in these in this industry. And then 2-3 years later, so they're out of it. So that will be my number one thing to advise people.
Gotcha. So let's say I'm a young business owner just getting started in the industry, or let's say I've done what you're describing and I've decided, okay, this is realistic. I can make a go at this. I'm going to do it. At that point, and you agree with their assessment. You agree that they've made a good faith assessment of all of the possibilities and the dangers and everything, and that they do have a fighting chance of succeeding in the industry. In that case, they're going to go ahead and go forward. What's your advice for them?
You need to study your market, people go online and then in these groups and say, what should I buy? And then there's people across the country that tell them, you need to buy this, you need to buy that, you need to.
Right.
And really our markets vary significantly where you're at in the US. And so if you're up north, you're going to buy different equipment than the people down south. So for instance, me that's in Austin, I heavily invested in water slides, right? So I'm going to tell you, you need to buy water slides, but you're in Chicago. Water slide doesn't go out in Chicago. So that's what I see in these groups, that people, they ask that question and people give them these answers from where they're at. Right. So my number one thing would be is see where you're at and study your competitors around you, what they have, and then you go with those type of units.
Gotcha. So you alluded to this a little bit in the previous question, and I'll ask you, what units and items do you find to be the most profitable for your company?
Again, you have to remember when you asked me that question, we're in the south, so it's warm weather. And water slides is obviously the number one money maker for us. Right. And I invested kind of heavily this year in more water slides because I think there is a good margin to make on it if you do it correctly. And so for people on the south, I would say definitely you need to invest in water slides. People to the north would be more dry type of equipment, also inflatables. So I would advise him to get into non-water items, but combos and maybe some interactives. That's what I would do.
Gotcha. So one of the number one challenges that I hear from our customers is that, especially nowadays, the labor market is pretty tough right now, but even before that, it's always been tough for a lot of people to find and keep good help. Correct. So what recommendations do you have for hiring, both best practices for recruiting new employees and keeping them on board?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we did when we got into the past COVID was we raised our rates for our employees, so we paid them more.
Okay.
So for them to go somewhere else will be difficult because we're paying them more.
Right.
And we have certain periods in the year that we pay them double pay when they work. So they make good money. And I just felt at the time that I want to make sure that my employees get good, solid pay. And that will keep them here. And that's what happened. We actually, this last year, our retention is very good compared to other years. So that definitely made a big influence. Where we find them is the normal channels, Craigslist, Indeed. We do that. And then we have a program where if you bring your friend in and your friend stay for 3 months or 6 months, you get a bonus on that.
Right.
And we're kind of successful with that too. But that's kind of what we do. So I do pay them more. And we obviously, because we're bigger, we have vision, mission, and values that we expect from our people, and that has made a big difference in the quality of the people that we employ. Yeah, that's what it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a really interesting story. You moved to the United States in 2000, if I remember correctly.
Correct, yes.
From South Africa. And you've managed to really, with not a whole lot, right? I mean, it's not like you came over here with, as a trust fund baby, right? You know, you really had to build yourself up from the ground up. So can you tell us a little bit about what were you thinking? How are you feeling when you came here? And how have you... how have you built yourself a really, fulfilling and satisfying life here?
Well, I get that question kind of often when people ask me, okay, why did you come here?
Right.
Other than the question of how did you get here?
Yeah.
And then I would tell them, well, with a plane, right?
Yeah.
So that's a joke. But I obviously was looking for a better future for me and my children. I have four kids. And the youngest at the time was 1.5 years, and my oldest was 10 years old. So I had a big responsibility towards my children. And my background is civil engineering. I've got an engineering degree, and I got an H-1B1 visa to come to the US and work as a civil engineer. So the reason why I came was a better future for my children. We all care about our children, and our children needs to be our number one focus. And although me moving from South Africa to here, I was 35 years old. We at the time when we moved here, it was the 4 kids, my ex-wife. And we had 10 suitcases with all my belongings at 35 years old.
Wow.
That's all that I had. And $7,000.
Okay.
And that's what I did to come and find a better future for my children. And so that's how we got here, and we're very happy and fortunate to be in this country.
Nice. So one of the things that I remember talking with you about is, because I see a lot of party rental company owners who've got this iron in the fire and that one and this one and this one and this one, and they're pulled in a billion different directions. And I keep asking myself, do you never sleep at all? And so I guess my question for you is, because at the same time it is good to have not just the one business, maybe 1 or 2 other things to diversify your revenue stream a little. So how do you kind of strike a balance there and not pull yourself in too many different directions, but still have something else besides a Monzi to shield you from the risk and that sort of thing? What's your approach to that?
My approach when you start a business is you need to be laser focused. You have to focus, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And then you need to go all at it. I'm not the type of person that have a backup, because I believe the moment you have a plan B, then you already failed. Right. So you have to have a plan A, and that is the plan. So I've never worked with, if this doesn't succeed, I'm going to try this, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to try this. No, I decided I'm going to do A, and I'm going to put everything towards A. And that's what we did with Amanzi. We started with 37,000 the first year, and the fifth year we were past $1 million.
Nice.
So I was focused. That's what I did. And you don't have a lot of time off you. There is not a lot of work-life balance, but that's what I do. And then after that, you can start to a little bit diversify and do things like that. Currently, I work in real estate. I'm building my real estate portfolio.
Nice.
And so I'm focusing on that on the side, but I can because I have time, right?
Right.
And I have people that working for me that do the things that I used to do. I don't have to do, and I can focus on that. And then on the sideline, on that, I do cryptocurrency and some stocks. So that's what I keep my attention to. I don't like to have 10 things. The other day I looked on Facebook and I saw somebody at the owner of this, owner of that, owner of, I mean literally 5, 6 owners of this.
Right.
I don't believe that you can be successful business if you have 5, 6 businesses going on at the same time.
Right.
I just don't think so.
Gotcha. Well, great. So can you tell me about some of the moments that you've had over the years that were those kinds of moments of, wow, this is why I got into the business in the first place. This is what makes it all worth it.
Yes. Our reason why we started the business was me and Heather, we have 8 children together, and we had to raise 8 children. I had custody of my 4 children, so we had 8 children in the house, and that's in short the reason why we started. And my oldest son Rico had to go to college, and we needed to find a way to pay for that, and the only thing that I know is how to start a business, and that's how we got into Amanzi. And if I look back at it, is the freedom that Amanzi gave us for me and Heather to raise 8 children. We have 1 child still at home that will go to college in the summer. In the summer, and so it offered us that opportunity that we could help 4 of our 8 children to go to college and do that. And if you flip that around to the business, is that we contribute, and I always, in our meetings, I would talk to our employees and I would tell them that we are here, me and Heather and Rico, us as a family, help their families to provide for their children and their mom and dad, whoever they live with, and then those families help us as a Amanzi family help our customers, that's families, to bring happiness to them. And our mission is we deliver delight and entertainment for people of all ages.
Right.
And that's what we do. And that is what really brings the why we doing what we're doing in Amanzi is the delight and entertainment. We all have crap going on in our lives, and we bring you this fun so that for the next 4 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours, that you can enjoy and just smile and happiness.
Gotcha. So you mentioned work-life balance just now, and that brings me to an interview that I read in a local Albuquerque magazine, a local business magazine, with a friend of mine from high school who began her event management company. She puts on weddings and that sort of thing. And I believe she started that business right out of high school. So she's been doing it for a number of years at this point. And one of the questions that they asked her was about work-life balance. And she had a question or an answer that really resonated with me. She basically said, the truth is that sometimes you don't have work-life balance. The truth of the matter is that sometimes you have to make sacrifices in your personal life for the good of the company.
Correct.
And at the same time, we are all human, right? There's a limit to that. So how do you strike that balance? How do you make sure that you're not burning yourself out to the point where you can't be effective any longer?
when you build a business, you have to focus for the first few years, and it depends 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It depends on your goals, and that's what you need to focus. There will not be a lot of work-life balance,
right?
So you have to keep that in mind, but you have to after a while realize that I need to start to look for a balance. And how I find the balance is we like to travel. Heather and I like to travel. So as we progressed, we started to go in December, January for 4 weeks. So we will travel out of the country. We will travel Europe. We've been all over Europe. We've been South America. And that's how we get our relief. And as we progressed, we've built on that, and now we take off in July 2 weeks, and we experience things that we always wanted to experience. I always wanted to see the end of the Tour de France, the last day.
Nice.
And in 2019, we went to a week in London, a week in Paris, and I saw the last day of the Tour de France. People, the cyclists coming down the Champs-Élysées, and the last day. So that's how we did it and how I did it. And but I do believe you need to work with that, and you need to accept that when you build your company in the beginning, that that is not how you can do that.
Right. Well, thanks so much for sitting with me today, Willem. I really appreciate it. It's been an enjoyable and informative conversation, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Noah, for having me here. I appreciate that you asked me to come and talk to you here in Austin. I just want to congratulate Rob and Corey for what they've done, that they built this beautiful company and can employ 60 people like you and others. And that's what business is about. And I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.